If I could draft the ultimate fantasy football team in 2024 and get every player I wanted in every single round, this is what my team would look like. If you can't wait to start drafting fantasy football teams, you don't have to. Underdog Fantasy has drafts with entry fees as low as $4 and prize pools up to $15 million. And of course, their flagship Best Ball Mania 5, where someone will win over $1 million. Plus, if you sign up and use promo code ENDGAME, you'll get a special pick that you can use to potentially win 325 times your entry. And you're going to get up to $250 in bonus cash. Don't wait. Go join Underdog Fantasy now and use promo code ENDGAME to get your special pick and cash. Now, real quick before I go round by round and tell you my favorite player in every round, a couple things. Number one, I'm going to use ADP from Underdog Fantasy because this is where real money fantasy drafts are going on right now. People with skin in the game who are drafting the best they possibly can. And number two, I realize you can't get every player you want in every round, but if you get as many of these guys as possible this year, I promise you, you're going to have a great team. Let's start with round one, and obviously it'd be easy to say, go get CMC, but if you don't have the number one pick, you're probably not getting CMC. If you don't have an early pick, you're not getting CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. So let's go with a guy kind of in the middle of the first round that I've talked up a bunch this offseason, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I really think Amon-Ra St. Brown is ready to take a leap this year. He's that guy I'm pegging as a potential number one top scoring wide receiver in 2024. Kind of like with CeeDee Lamb last year. That guy going outside of the elite wide receivers that has a chance to make that leap to be the top scoring wide receiver. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown can do it. He's the guy I'm targeting in round one if I don't have an early pick. Now, round two, let's go with a running back, and that is Jonathan Taylor. I love Jonathan Taylor heading into 2024. Remember last year he was dealing with the contract stuff, the ankle. The year before that, also banged up, dealing with injuries. But let's not forget, just 3 years ago, this guy was the top scoring running back in all of fantasy football. He's an elite runner. He's still young. And he's in a great offense with an offensive guru in Shane Steichen. This is the guy who helped Jalen Hurts get his MVP. He made the Colts a respectable offense last year with Gardner Minshew. He's an incredible offensive mind, and there is no one here competing with Jonathan Taylor for touches. He's going to be an absolute workhorse running back, still in the prime of his career, in an above-average offense. Give me all the JT in round two. Now, in round three, there's certainly a lot of guys I like here. If you want to go running back, I do like Kyren Williams. I don't understand why he's fallen to round three, but I'm going to go wide receiver, and I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle. I think we also see a big bounce-back year from Jalen Waddle this year. And we got a question on our live stream, our mock draft the other day. Well, if Jalen Waddle is going to be so good, how can Tyreek Hill also be good? Which is a good question, but just remember, 2 years ago, when both guys were healthy, Tyreek Hill went over 1,700 yards. Jalen Waddle had almost 1,400 yards and 8 touchdowns himself, and that was only his second year in the NFL. Now he's entering year 4, coming off a down year that really was plagued by injury. Even though he didn't miss a lot of games, there was a lot of games where he was out there at less than 100%, fully healthy, in one of the league's best offenses, and it's really just a two-man target tree here. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, they get all the targets. So in the third round, I'm chasing that upside with Jalen Waddle. Now in round 4, I'm still shocked that Isaiah Pacheco goes this late. To me, he checks every single box we're looking for. He's a workhorse running back. He's explosive. He's in one of the league's best offenses. He catches enough passes. He's got massive touchdown upside. What am I missing with Isaiah Pacheco? It's not like we've never seen this guy do it. He just did it last year. Oh, he was also good as a rookie. Isaiah Pacheco in the 4th round absolutely feels like stealing to me. I feel like this guy should be going in the 2nd round, and maybe by end of August he will be. But right now, Isaiah Pacheco in the 4th, yeah, he's a must. Into round 5, and I don't generally go tight end early, but if I'm going to, it's going to be Dalton Kincaid in round 5. When you look at this Bills receiver room, you got rookie Keon Coleman, you got Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, and Dalton Kincaid. That's pretty much it here. None of those guys profile as an alpha wide receiver that's going to demand a ton of targets. It wouldn't surprise me if Dalton Kincaid leads all tight ends in targets this year, and those targets are coming from Josh Allen, so you don't have to worry about them being off target or inaccurate or anything like that. Dalton Kincaid legit has tight end 1 upside, in my opinion, and you don't have to draft him that way. You can wait until round 5 and get potentially this year's number 1 scoring tight end. I'm going to take that every time. Now in round 6, there's some decent values here, but I really like Deontay Johnson of the Panthers. I know people are like, the Panthers, they are terrible. Bryce Young, he's terrible. I get it. Last year, you're right, that was the case. But even last year, we saw Adam Thielen for, I guess, like the first half of the season, just get peppered with targets and actually be really good in fantasy. Deontay Johnson is better than Adam Thielen, but also Bryce Young is going to be better than the Bryce Young we saw last year. He was the number one pick, and it wasn't like people were like, this guy should never be the number one pick, like, shouldn't be a first rounder. This wasn't a reach at first round. We knew it was going to be him and CJ Stroud, the top 2 picks in some order. And he just got head coach Dave Canales, who 2 years ago saved Geno Smith's career and last year saved Baker Mayfield's career. You're telling me he can't save Bryce Young, the number one pick just a year ago? I think he can. I think this offense surprises a lot of people this year, and I think Deontay Johnson is the clear number one guy here, one of the leaders in targets among the entire NFL, and ends up being, dare I say, a league winner, especially in your PPR leagues. On to round 7, and I'm going to chase the upside here with Christian Watson. Now, I get it. I've talked a lot about Christian Watson, and I understand the reservations for Christian Watson. Like, do I really want to deal with the headache that is Christian Watson? I totally understand that. Myself, I'm willing to risk it because I feel that the upside here is potentially a wide receiver that can take your team over the top. I will say this. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. If you're like, there is no way I am ever drafting Christian Watson again, totally understandable. I'm also okay with Ramondre Stevenson here. In fact, I love Ramondre Stevenson in this range as well. So if you don't want to risk it with Christian Watson, Ramondre Stevenson, not a bad option B either. Now in round 8, let's go with a QB, and that is Kyler Murray. I'm still pretty shocked that Kyler Murray goes this late in fantasy drafts. This is a guy who's been like a top 5 QB every year he's been healthy other than his rookie year. And he just got the number one wide receiver in the entire draft. Not to mention he has Trey McBride at tight end. He has weapons here, new coaching staff, new offense, and he's fully removed from ACL now, 2 years removed from ACL. Not to mention he was on a pace to rush for over 500 yards last year coming off of ACL. This is a guy who can get you 800 plus rushing yards, 6 to 8 rushing touchdowns, and still throw for 3,500 to 4,000 yards. I don't understand why he's going this late. He has legit top 5 upside at QB that you can wait and get at a discount. On to round 9, back to running back. I'm taking a chance on Tyjae Spears here. I know the Titans signed Tony Pollard, but I think this is going to be a 1-2 punch, like a lightning and lightning, because there's really no thunder here, but I still really like Tyjae Spears. He was a great pass-catching back last year. He's an explosive running back, and I think we're going to see that again, and I think it's going to be like a split. I think it's going to be a 50-50 between Pollard and Tyjae Spears. Now, granted, the Titans probably not going to be one of the best offenses in the NFL unless Will Levis takes a massive leap this year, but they're going to be a decent enough offense, and Spears has that explosive ability. He's a guy who can take a little dump off and turn it into a 40-yard touchdown. That's the kind of upside I'm looking for this late in my drafts. And then let's go with a couple of starting running backs, starting in round 10 with Javonte Williams. I've talked up Javonte Williams all offseason. I don't understand why people are sleeping on Javonte Williams so much. I mean, I guess I do. It's because he really hasn't lived up to expectations, and he's coming off a pretty terrible year last year. But remember, he was also coming off ACL last year. He's also 2 years removed from that ACL. We're going to see 100% Javonte Williams this year, and I talked about it on our breakout video. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out after this one. But Sean Payton's teams have ranked top 5 in targets to running backs every single year of his career. Every year. Last year, the Broncos ranked first in targets to running backs. Javonte Williams is going to give you a ton of receptions this year. He's going to actually be somewhat efficient. He's not going to be horrible. And he's going to get a decent amount of touchdowns, even though it is the Broncos offense, because he's a big back. He can handle the goal line carries. So getting what I feel is a workhorse running back in round 10, I'm taking that. And then I think there's another workhorse running back that I can get in round 11, and that is Jerome Ford of the Browns. Again, last year, a bit disappointing because after Nick Chubb had that terrible knee injury, we expected Jerome Ford to come in and be the every down guy for the Browns, and for whatever reason, they decided to roll with Kareem Hunt. But that thing is over. He's gone. Don't have to worry about him anymore. I think we do see Jerome Ford handle most of the work in this offense. He was good last year. No, he's nothing special. He's not some elite talent. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Jerome Ford, could be this year's Kyron Williams or something like that. But he's going to get the volume, and the Browns still have one of the best offensive lines. They were still one of the run-heaviest offenses last year. And Deshaun Watson, he has not looked like the same Deshaun Watson since he went to Cleveland, so they're probably going to have to be run-heavy again. And Jerome Ford, also a very good pass catcher, and he has a nose for the end zone. Somehow scored 9 touchdowns last year, despite getting vultured by Kareem Hunt repeatedly throughout the season. So again, I can get a workhorse running back in round 11. Give me that all day. Now into round 12, I got a trio of rookies here, starting with the Chargers rookie, Kimani Vidal. I know we've talked up Gus Edwards, and I definitely like Gus Edwards, but don't sleep on Kimani Vidal. I think he's going to enter the season as the number 2 running back. I'm not worried about J.K. Dobbins coming off Achilles injury 2 years after coming off ACL. Yeah, I don't think J.K. Dobbins is going to have that explosiveness that we need in the NFL. Vidal was a good player in college. Now, granted, he went to Troy, so he didn't play the strongest defenses, but he had over 300 touches, averaged over 6 yards per touch. He's also a capable pass catcher, so I think he's at least going to have the pass catching role to start the season. And if they like what they're seeing from him, if they're liking his ability, we could see him eat into Gus Edwards' workload as the season goes on. This is one of those guys who could start the season not really doing a whole lot, but as the year goes on, he gets going and going and going and ends up being a league winner late in the year. And then around 13, I like rookie wide receiver Jermaine Burton of the Cincinnati Bengals. Loved his prospect profile, loved him as a wide receiver prospect. He didn't put up huge numbers in Alabama, but that's because he didn't have to put up huge numbers in Alabama. But this is a guy that I think is ready for the NFL. He's a polished route runner, and I love this landing spot. Now, it would have been better if T. Higgins got traded, but I still like Jermaine Burton. I think he's going to probably start in the slot in 3 wide receiver sets in that Tyler Boyd role. But look, we've seen Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, these guys get banged up every single year, it seems like. Don't be shocked if Jermaine Burton starts carving out a role basically because of necessity, because these guys are injured. But even if those guys stay healthy all year, I think he's going to have at least enough upside in those 3 wide receiver sets in this offense that you're looking for in these later rounds. He's got the kind of upside I want, so I'm taking a chance on him here. And then around 14, I'm taking a chance on Jets rookie wide receiver Malachi Corley. Now, Malachi Corley is not going to be a guy that is going to get peppered with targets or, going to catch 8 passes for, 70 yards. Like, he's not going to be that kind of guy. He's going to be what everybody wanted Kadarius Toney to be. A yard after catch monster who doesn't get hurt. Well, I say that, now he's probably going to get hurt. But the reason why I say that is because he was a monster in college. And by monster, I mean a guy who destroyed defensive backs. He is like a running back when he has the ball in his hand. He is looking for somebody to hit, some DB he can run over. Aaron Rodgers is going to absolutely love this guy. And on draft day, the GM and the head coach texted each other and said, Malachi Corley, no matter what. This was the guy the Jets wanted. They're going to design plays for him. They're going to get him in situations that he can excel in as a yard after catch type of monster. He's not going to be a guy that's going to probably have a safe weekly floor, but we're in round 14. Give me that weekly ceiling when he catches, 4 or 5 passes and trucks 2 DBs for touchdowns. Then finally in round 15, we're shooting for upside. Let's go with Demarcus Robinson of the Rams, being completely slept on this year. You look at the way he ended the season last year, over 14 points per game in the last 4 games in your PPR leagues, was scoring touchdowns. And I love him as the number 3 wide receiver in this offense. But look, Cooper Kupp, he's missed time the last 2 years. He's now over 30 years old. If he misses time again, Demarcus Robinson becomes the number 2 wide receiver in this offense. Matthew Stafford looked like himself last year. Sean McVay back. This offense should be rolling again. And it honestly wouldn't surprise me if Demarcus Robinson leapfrogged Cooper Kupp as the number 2 wide receiver, or at least was right there neck and neck with him as a number 2 wide receiver. So in round 15, with my last pick, give me a piece of this Rams offense. Now, I mentioned that I love Javonte Williams, and I talked about him on the breakout video. And if you haven't checked it out, you can check it out right here, and you can see which other running backs are ready to break out this year as well.